Hello. So today we are looking at another Leetcode problem. Today it is problem number 670, which is maximum swap. The problem says that you've been provided with a number and you need to swap two digits to get the maximum value. Well, if you think about it, the problem is quite straightforward. How can you get a maximum value out of a number? You can get so if your maximum digit is in the most significant place, because you can only do one swap. We are only going to swap the highest or the largest value digit. But if multiple swaps were allowed, then we would be interested in something like this, because this is going to be the largest value. But since we are only allowed to do one swap, what we can get maximum with a single swap is just this one. Now, there is an edge case. What if you already have a number like this? Then what would you swap in order to get the maximum value? The answer is nothing. So you should keep checking, and if there is nothing that you swap, then you just have to return the same number as it is. There is another case of this number. So if you look at this, you don't have the largest digit in the most significant place. So what you can do is make a swap. So a swap is definitely possible. But what would you swap this place with? Would you swap it with the first 9 or with the second 9? So if you swap it with the first 9, you get 9193. And if you swap it with the second 9, you get 9913. Right? And so this is definitely greater than this one, right? So what we want to do is, when we're swapping with the maximum value, you want to make sure that the value is from the rightmost position. And so that is all that is there to this problem. The implementation can be done as you like, and it can be a little tricky because we're trying to do a swap, and you cannot really swap in between an integer, because an integer is immutable in Python. So what you can do, or rather what I have done, is one of the techniques, and of course, like I said, there can be multiple different techniques. So what I've done is I created a nums list, which is nothing but string of these positions. Okay, and then I try to find the maximum in this list, and then I try to find what is the place that I have to swap it with, and I make that swap, and then finally convert this into the integer number that I have to return. So here is the pseudocode for that. Okay, so let's create nums list, which is nothing but integer of the digits. Okay, and then I identify the nums max. So what is the max digit that I have here? And then I also have a start pointer, because what I want to see is if the numbers are already sorted in descending order, which is the first position which is not in the descending order, where I can make a swap. Okay, so that's what I'm using the pointer for. Like for instance, if you take an example, something like this: 7, 8, 6, and then 1, 5. So this is the first position where I can take the swap. That's what I meant. So let's write the follow. So while start is lesser than the length of the nums list, and nums start, which is at starting point, this value, if this is the same as the current maximum, then I just ignore it, because it is in descending, right? So then I move forward. Oh, sorry. Okay, so then I have a pointer, and I use this pointer to identify the first position in the number that is in non-descending order, which is, for example, let's take I have something like this and I have something like this. Now this is in descending order, and then this is the first place where I can make a swap with an element on the left, which is this 5. So let's write the loop. So while start is lesser than len of nums list, and nums list of start is equal to current nums max, which means right now to start with, before we start, the maximum value is 8. If 8 is at the starting position, then we have to move forward, because we have to move forward to identify the first non-descending position. That's what we are doing here. So let's say start plus equal to 1, move forward. And so now I am going to look for max in this range. What is the max in this range? It is 7. And now I'm going to check, is the max sitting at the start position? Yes, if it is, then I keep moving forward because I need to find the first non-descending position. Okay, so let's do that. So I also need to check one more thing, because I'm moving the pointer of which is moving the pointer start by 1. When I am checking for the max, I can go out of bounds. So I'm going to make a small check here. If there is nothing left and the thing has gotten exhausted, I will break. Otherwise, I will say the new nums max for the new subarray by incrementing start is like this. Alright. Now, once I've done this, by the time I get out of it, what is going to happen is I am going to be looking in this array where my start is pointing at 1, and I would have already identified 5 as my max, and I realized that at this start position 5 is not sitting. So the next thing that I want to do is keep looking for the position of 5 which is on the rightmost, and then make the swap. Okay, so let's do that. So again, if start is less than the len of nums list minus 1, which means my start is not in the end position, then I can say that there is something for me to swap, and I say that the max index, so this is the index of the maximum value that I want to pick. I'm going to search for that maximum value. So let's do that. So for index in range, start in the reverse direction, len of nums list minus 1, go up till start, and then go in the reverse order. If you identify of index, so the first index of that value that you identify, take that. So this is nums max. You take that index, max index is equal to this index, and then you break. Once you have broken from this loop, broken out of this loop, then what you will do here is you will update. So let's do that. So nums list of max index at this place now put the value that you had in the start place, which is equal to nums list of start. And likewise, make the reverse the other side of things as well, which is nums list of start is equal to the nums max, which we already knew. And then I've run out of space, but you have gotten your final nums list array. Just convert it back to integer and return, and you're done. Alright, that was it for this problem. Thank you. Bye bye.